The galactic concord was abuzz with the kind of excitement that only came with the discovery of a new species. Earth, the third planet in a nondescript solar system, had been on the fringe of galactic cartography for centuries. It was labeled a Class E biosphere, capable of sustaining sentient life but deemed unlikely to produce anything of note. Yet, when a research vessel stumbled upon the humans, the galactic concord could not ignore them. Humans were peculiar. Bipedal, moderately intelligent and resourceful, they lacked the bioluminescence of the Nkali or the telekinetic prowess of the Thraxis. They didn't seem dangerous. In fact, their technological level was laughable compared to the galactic standard. That was until the preliminary scans of Earth's biosphere were analyzed. The galactic concord didn't know how to respond. Earth's catalogued creatures ranged from simple herbivores to creatures that would send a battle-hardened Trillax soldier into a panic. There were serpentine beings capable of injecting neurotoxins, territorial beasts whose claws could tear through reinforced alloys, and microbial invaders that could bypass the most advanced immune defenses. Earth's biosphere was, in short, a death trap, and the humans had thrived there. Commander Vectal, an esteemed scientist of the Ural species, watched the briefing with barely concealed curiosity. They live among those creatures? Vectal's voice quivered slightly, his bioluminescent scales dimming in thought. The holographic display shifted, showing footage of a great white shark leaping from the ocean to seize a seal. Gasps rippled through the council chamber. Then came the lions, the tigers, the crocodiles, and the venomous spiders. Each slide was accompanied by murmurs of horror. Finally, the screen paused on a human face, grinning inexplicably as it held a venomous snake in its hands. "Are we certain this is not fabricated?" asked Chancellor Drix, his antennae twitching nervously. The insectoid leader of the Concord looked visibly shaken. "It is not," Vectal replied. "The footage was obtained through their own transmissions. They call this wildlife documentaries." "That's absurd," Drix spat, clicking his mandibles in disbelief. "How can they coexist with such monstrosities?" "They do not merely coexist," Vectal said, his tone grim. "They dominate." As if to prove his point, the next clip showed humans capturing a lion with nets, tranquilizing it and transporting it for study. The lion, a creature capable of mauling most species in the Concord, looked utterly helpless. The humans were laughing. The council chamber descended into uneasy silence. Every species present shared a universal truth. The predator-prey dynamic dictated the evolution of sentience. Only prey species banded together, developing intelligence as a means of survival. Predators were solitary hunters, never forming the social bonds necessary for advanced civilizations. Humans, however, were the anomaly. "They are both," Vectal continued, "predator and prey. They have evolved to not only defend themselves from apex predators but to hunt them. The humans are what the galaxy has feared, a species without natural limitations." The murmurs grew louder, and one of the reptilian Trillax Council members stood. "And they have yet to develop advanced space travel? Perhaps they are not a threat after all." "Do not underestimate them," Vectal warned. "They are curious, adaptive, and relentless. What they lack in technology they compensate for in sheer determination. Observe this." The footage shifted to a human expedition in Antarctica. The council watched in awe as humans braved temperatures that would freeze most Concord species in seconds. They watched humans scale mountains without wings, cross oceans without gills, and create artificial habitats in deserts, tundras, and volcanic landscapes. "They bend the environment to their will," Vectal said, his voice tinged with a mix of admiration and fear. "Even their deadliest creatures are either tamed or eradicated when they pose a threat." Chancellor Drix leaned forward, his multifaceted eyes narrowing. "You sound as though you admire them, Commander." "I do not admire them," Vectal replied. "I fear them. And so should you." The council chamber was tense as Vectal's words lingered in the air. While fear was an emotion not often openly acknowledged in Concord politics, the subtle shifts in body language, the twitch of an antenna, the flex of a claw, the ripple of bioluminescent scales, betrayed the unease spreading through the room. But not everyone was convinced. A deep, guttural laugh echoed from the far end of the chamber. It belonged to General Kravath of the Zorn Dominion, a hulking reptilian warlord whose species had long prided themselves as the galaxy's apex predators. His scales glinted under the chamber's lights as his amber eyes glared at Vectal. "You are afraid of them?" Kravath's voice was a low growl laced with contempt. "A species that cannot even leave their planet without primitive rocket propulsion? They may dominate their world, but the galaxy belongs to those who wield true power." Vectal met Kravath's gaze evenly, his bioluminescence flickering in subtle defiance. And what is your definition of power, General? A species' ability to conquer? To destroy? Precisely, Kravith said, his clawed hands tightening into fists. The Zorn have waged wars for millennia. We have crushed countless species that dared to challenge us. If these humans ever venture beyond their cursed world, we will show them their place. Vectal let out a sigh, as though speaking to a child who refused to grasp a fundamental lesson. That is the very reason they terrify me, General. You and I were both raised to believe that strength and dominance are the pinnacles of power. But humans redefine it. They are not bound by our simplistic notions of conquest. They fight not just to win but to survive, and that makes them far more dangerous than you realize. Before Kravith could retort, the holographic display flickered back to life. This time it was footage not of animals but of humans themselves. The council watched as grainy black and white recordings showed humans in trenches, their faces covered in soot and grime as they charged into battle against impossible odds. The footage shifted, showing modern soldiers wading through chaos, their resilience unshaken despite injuries that would incapacitate most Concord species. They are relentless, Vectal explained, gesturing toward the screen. Their history is one of constant conflict, wars over land, resources, ideology. And yet, despite the horrors they have endured, they continue to innovate, to adapt. What you see on this screen is not the product of a primitive species. It is the product of a species forged in the crucible of adversity. The display shifted again, this time to scenes of human ingenuity, towering cities, spacecraft prototypes, medical breakthroughs, and acts of selflessness. A human lifting rubble to free a stranger. Another shielding an injured animal from a firestorm. The council watched in silence as the footage concluded with humans staring up at their night sky, their eyes filled with wonder and determination. What does this tell us? Vectal asked, turning to address the chamber. It tells us that humans are not driven solely by survival or conquest. They are driven by something far more dangerous: hope. It is hope that fuels their resilience, that pushes them to achieve the impossible. And it is hope that makes them a threat to everything we believe about the natural order. For a moment, the room was silent. Then a soft chittering broke the stillness. It came from Chancellor Drix, whose mandibles clicked as he considered Vectal's words. You make a compelling argument, Commander. But hope is an abstract concept. How does it translate into a threat for the Concord? Vectal hesitated, as though reluctant to speak his next words. Finally he said, because hope is infectious. If humans join the galactic stage, they will not just survive, they will inspire others to rise beyond their station. The balance of power will shift. Oppressed species will see the humans as proof that weakness can be overcome, that strength is not the sole determinant of survival. General Kravith scoffed. Inspiration is not a weapon. Neither is fire until it consumes everything in its path, Vectal shot back. Before the debate could continue, an alert blared through the chamber. A holographic assistant materialized, its synthetic voice calm yet urgent. Council members, there has been an incident in Quadrant Theta 12. A Zorn hunting vessel has been destroyed near the Sol system. All eyes turned to Kravith, who bared his fangs in a toothy grin. Good, he said. It seems our hunters have finally taken an interest in this so-called death world. Let us see how these humans fare against true predators. Vectal's expression darkened. You fool. You have no idea what you've unleashed. The chamber erupted into chaos. The council members' voices overlapped as accusations and questions flew in every direction. Vectal remained silent, his bioluminescent markings dimming with quiet resignation. General Kravith, however, leaned back in his chair, his claws tapping on the armrest with smug satisfaction. It is done, Kravith rumbled, his voice cutting through the noise. Let the humans prove their mettle. If they survive, they may yet earn a place in the Concord. If not, their demise will be a lesson to all who dream beyond their reach. Vectal rose slowly, his movements deliberate. He turned toward the general, his gaze unyielding. You think this is a test of their strength? You think the Zorn hunters will emerge victorious and teach these fragile humans their place? You don't understand what you've done, Kravith. You haven't sent hunters to cull prey, you've sent them into the lair of a species that has evolved by confronting death at every turn. And now you've given the humans a reason to fight. Kravith's grin widened. Then let us see if your terror is justified. Far from the Concord Council chamber, on the outskirts of the Sol system, the Zorn hunting vessel prowled through the void. Its captain, Karvok, was a seasoned predator, his scars a testament to countless victories. His crew, equally battle-hardened, moved with precision as they prepared their ship's weaponry. "Scan the third planet," Karvok commanded, his voice echoing through the bridge. "Let us find their strongest packs. If these humans are as formidable as some claim, I want their mightiest warriors mounted on my trophy wall." The ship's sensors hummed to life, sweeping across Earth's surface. Karvok watched as the display filled with data: dense cities, vast oceans, sprawling forests. But something was off. Instead of isolated hunting grounds, the scans revealed an interconnected web of activity. The humans weren't scattered prey, they were a collective force. "They've built fortresses," one of the crew muttered, studying the towering skyscrapers on the display. "And weapons, primitive but numerous." Karvok dismissed the concern with a wave of his clawed hand. "Fortresses crumble and weapons can be taken. Begin the descent. We will strike quickly and leave no survivors." The Zorn ship plunged toward the atmosphere, its advanced cloaking technology rendering it invisible to human detection systems. They targeted a remote military installation in the mountains, far from civilian populations. It was a calculated move: engage the humans' warriors without alerting their broader forces. The ship landed silently, its massive frame blending seamlessly with the rocky terrain. Karvok led his crew into the cold night, their forms shifting in the shadows. The Zorn were built for ambushes, their reptilian bodies adapting to the environment as they moved closer to the base. But as they approached, something unexpected happened. The ground beneath them erupted in a deafening explosion, sending shrapnel and flames in every direction. Karvok was thrown backward, his armor absorbing the worst of the blast. His crew scrambled to regroup, their keen eyes scanning the darkness for their unseen attackers. The humans struck without warning. They emerged from concealed positions, their movements precise and disciplined. Their weapons roared, sending projectiles tearing through the air with lethal accuracy. Karvok's hunters, despite their superior strength and agility, found themselves outmaneuvered. The Zorn were no strangers to combat, but this was unlike anything they had faced. The humans didn't fight as individuals, they fought as a unit, their coordination seamless. They anticipated the Zorn's movements, laying traps and forcing them into kill zones. Karvok roared in frustration, his claws slicing through the air as he charged a human soldier. The human didn't flinch. Even as Karvok's strike connected, the human retaliated with a calculated precision that left the Zorn reeling. The soldier, injured but undeterred, pressed the attack, forcing Karvok to retreat. "These are no mere prey," one of the Zorn hissed, clutching a wound. "They fight as though the stars themselves are at stake." Karvok snarled, his pride wounded as much as his body. He activated his communicator, issuing a retreat order. But before the Zorn could escape, the humans unleashed their final weapon: fire. Flames engulfed the battlefield, cutting off the Zorn's path to their ship. The humans moved with eerie calm, their faces illuminated by the inferno. They were not just surviving, they were winning. Karvok realized too late that Vektal had been right. The humans were not prey. They were predators of a different kind, their strength born not of dominance, but of an unyielding will to overcome. The council chamber was silent as the footage played. It had been transmitted by the Zorn vessel's emergency beacon, captured in the moments before its destruction. Vektal watched as the council members absorbed the scenes of human resilience, their expressions shifting from skepticism to dread. "You see now," Vektal said, his voice steady. "The humans are not fragile. They are not to be underestimated. They are the result of a planet that demanded nothing less than constant adaptation, and they carry that legacy into every battle. The Zorn learned this too late. Will we make the same mistake?" Chancellor Drix's mandibles clicked nervously. If the humans are so dangerous, why have they not yet left their planet? Why have they not sought to conquer the stars? "Because they don't need to," Vektal replied. "Not yet. For now, their wars are with each other, their battles confined to their own world. But the day will come when they turn their gaze outward. When that happens, we must decide, will we face them as allies, or as prey?" The council chamber was steeped in tension, the silence stretching like a taut wire threatening to snap. Vektal stood resolute, his eyes scanning the assembled representatives. Each face bore a mixture of apprehension and awe, their fear of the humans evident, but so too was a grudging respect. The footage from the Zorn's ill-fated attack looped silently on the central display, casting flickering light across the chamber walls. General Kravith, his earlier arrogance now buried beneath the weight of undeniable evidence, spoke first. His voice, once full of bravado, was subdued. "The Zorn underestimated them," he said, his claws gripping the edge of his seat. "But perhaps this is a blessing. It is better we learn of their strength now than face it unprepared. Vectal didn't hide his bitterness. Unprepared? We are light years from prepared. What happened on that battlefield was not chance or desperation. It was the distilled essence of human tenacity. Every hardship they have endured, every war they have fought among themselves, has shaped them into what you witnessed. They didn't simply fight back. They adapted, they endured, and they thrived under conditions meant to destroy them. The council murmured, voices blending in a cacophony of uncertainty. Chancellor Drix, always cautious, raised a hand to silence them. This revelation changes much, but we must not act in haste. What would you propose, Vectal? How do we engage with such a species without provoking their wrath? Vectal hesitated. He had known this moment would come, but the weight of responsibility still pressed on him. We do not provoke them, he said carefully. We extend a hand, not in conquest but in mutual respect. We must show them that the Concord is not a threat but a coalition of equals. If we approach them with arrogance as the Zorn did, we will invite our own ruin. And if they refuse? Kravith growled. What if their hunger for conflict is insatiable? What if they turn on us as they did the Zorn? Then we prepare, Vectal replied firmly. But not for war. We prepare to coexist. Humans do not strike without reason. They value loyalty, alliances, and bonds forged in struggle. We must become their allies before we become their enemies. Weeks passed, and the Concord began implementing Vectal's cautious plan. Quiet emissaries were sent to Earth under the guise of exploration, tasked with observing human behavior more closely. What they found only deepened the Council's unease and fascination. Humans were indeed unlike any species the Concord had encountered. Their adaptability extended beyond the battlefield. They thrived in environments others would deem uninhabitable. They created art, music, and stories that revealed a depth of emotion and thought unparalleled in the galaxy. But their greatest strength lay in their unity under pressure. When faced with external threats, humans set aside their differences and rallied with terrifying efficiency. It was during one such observation mission that the emissaries witnessed an event that would solidify Vectal's warnings. A meteorite, too small to be detected in time, struck a densely populated city on Earth. The destruction was catastrophic, leaving thousands dead and millions displaced. The Concord watched, expecting chaos to engulf the humans. Instead, they saw resilience. In the aftermath, humans banded together in ways that defied logic. Rescue teams worked tirelessly, often at great personal risk. Aid flowed not just from neighboring regions but from across the planet. Strangers became family, united by a common purpose. What should have been a moment of despair became a testament to humanity's indomitable spirit. When the emissaries reported back, the council was left in stunned silence. Chancellor Drix turned to Vectal, his mandibles clicking in a rare display of nervousness. You were right, he admitted. They are not like us. They are something more. The decision was made. The Concord would approach humanity not as conquerors or superiors but as equals. An envoy was dispatched, a single unarmed ship bearing representatives from the council. Vectal was among them, his presence a testament to the gravity of the mission. As the ship entered Earth's orbit, a message was broadcast in every known human language. We come in peace. We seek to learn from you, to share knowledge, and to build a future together. The response was cautious but not hostile. Earth's leaders, wary yet curious, agreed to meet with the alien delegation. The summit was held on neutral ground, a space station orbiting Earth. Vectal stood face to face with the human representatives, his multiple eyes taking in their features. They were smaller than he had expected, their frames deceptively delicate. But their eyes burned with a fire he had only ever seen in warriors who had survived countless battles. The human leader, a woman named Dr. Eleanor Reyes, extended a hand. Vectal hesitated, then mimicked the gesture, his appendage dwarfed by hers. The contact was brief but symbolic. A bridge had been formed, fragile yet full of potential. Years later, the Concord and humanity stood side by side as allies. The partnership was not without its challenges, but it endured, strengthened by mutual respect and understanding. Humanity's place in the galaxy was no longer a question of survival, it was a certainty. Vectal watched from the council chamber as new footage played. It was not of war or destruction but of collaboration. Humans and aliens working together, building a future neither could have achieved alone. He allowed himself a rare moment of satisfaction. The predators of Earth had found their place among the stars, not as conquerors but as partners. And the galaxy was stronger for it.